Loud and proud, Rep. Michelle Rayner, Florida's first lesbian woman of color, runs for Congress. Finally tonight, we have one more important story, and it's a story that affects LGBTQ lives in Florida. Florida has become ground zero over conservative actions against the LGBTQ plus community, including trans rights, school and book bans over LGBTQ content, Our Children, and Don't Say Gay. The Woke Act to allow parents to sue schools and teachers if their child is uncomfortable discussing pride's LGBTQ history, even the facts surrounding Pulse.
This week, the author of the Don't Say Gay bill tried to add an amendment that would have schools forcibly out LGBTQ children to their parents, even if it would destroy the child. So the November midterm elections are incredibly important to the gay community. Today, the Florida House passed both Don't Say Gay by 69 to 47 and the Woke We Will Sue Your Ass Off If You Make Me Feel Uncomfortable over LGBT by 74 to 41.
Just 7 Republicans crossed the aisle and voted no on these hateful bills. Tonight, we bring you an interview with Florida's first state lesbian woman of color, Michelle Rayner. Representative Rayner voted no on all bills and amendments. She spoke at the Florida LGBTQ plus Democratic Caucus called Turn It Up, Turn It Out. She introduced Nadine Smith of Equality Florida before the state's largest gathering of LGBTQ plus political advocates in St. Petersburg, and then walked to our Happening Out television pop-up studio for an exclusive interview.
She is a firebrand that reminds us of a preacher from the Black church as she rises the reference on what is right and just. National publications are suggesting that Rayner's no-holds-barred speaking style may be the antidote to Florida's dangerous conservative shift and Governor Ron DeSantis' groundwork to president in 2024. And she is queer, she is Black, and she is a woman.
And I am so happy that we ended with that story, I have to tell you, because that gives me hope, just like Cindy. Today is a special lesbian takeover of Queer News Tonight. We constantly say here at the Happening Out television network that representation matters. How appropriate on this dark day in Florida for our LGBTQ children, for our Black and brown school students, that we can bring the emotional words of the first lesbian Black woman to represent in Florida. Rayner is now a candidate for U.S. Congress.
You get to see Al Ferguson's exclusive interview first, and then her powerful speech before the LGBTQ community, Florida state representatives, and now U.S. congressional candidate Michelle Rayner. Watch this.
Well, it's Al Ferguson from Queer News Tonight, and we are here this evening at the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. And I am very pleased to introduce somebody that I have not met before. But I listened to her today, and she wowed this caucus convention meeting, and that is Representative Michelle Rayner. You know her because she is tearing it up in Tallahassee right now. I don't know if you're following the news, but there's a little stuff going on in Tallahassee. I hosted a workshop conversation today called What in the Hell is Going On in Tallahassee? And you were front and center to kind of explain it to us. Welcome to Queer News Tonight.
Thank you so much, Al, for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what you are seeing in Tallahassee. For everybody, just quick summary, we're talking about book bans, we're talking about you can't talk in schools, we're talking about, wait, don't make me feel uncomfortable in any way.
Yes.
You know, it goes on and on and on.
Honestly, it does go on. And what we're seeing is like literally anti-LGBTQ bills. We're seeing anti-Black bills, anti-Hispanic bills, anything. And I say this and people get mad, but if you are not a white, cisgender, heterosexual male, they don't want to hear from you.
Oh, thank goodness. One of those boxes I didn't check.
Right. And so, you know, that's really kind of where it's at. And so we're having bills that are, you know, attacking teachers, attacking attacking our children, attacking people, attacking companies, not allowing them to do what we need as far as, DEI training. And really one of the things that really hurts me is really the Don't Say Gay bill, because we know that our babies need us. We know that LGBTQ youth are 40% more likely to commit suicide, to be homeless, and to tell our children that they don't matter is, I think, the most unconscionable thing that you can ever do.
I have to say, when I was sitting listening to you and the panel you participated in today, I turned to a press colleague of mine, and I said, my goodness, I feel like I'm in church because you were just preaching up a storm, and it was very motivational. I'm curious in terms of the words that were coming out of your mouth. Retell the story about the offend, about trying to tell you about Black or the LGBTQ community or other minority. Tell us about how you feel about why this select group seems to be attacking at every turn.
I mean, here's the thing. It's all about power for them. And it's about, othering us, right? And it's about saying that you are the other and then dividing us. And then we know what happens when you are the other and you're dividing us. We know that there's harm that happens. We know that there's hate that happens, all of those things that happen. And so I'm really concerned. I'm deeply concerned about what's happening. And a lot of the things, Al, I think that they're depending on and banking on that folks won't know what's happening in Tallahassee. That all of a sudden, these bills will pass and they're like, oh my goodness, because they are trying to keep it in the dark so people do not know what is occurring.
I haven't heard the phraseology in the way that you did today and you've just done now. You're really coining a phrase of othering.
Yes.
And what you mean, at least in terms of what I hear on the othering, is that as long as I can create fear in someone else, it means that you're going to vote for me. Is that your point?
Correct. And they are using that fear and that homophobia and that racism and that transphobia really to say, these are the others. If you support, if you love, if you whatever, that means we're going to be taken over. But here's the thing. Everybody loves someone who is a member of the LGBTQ community, whether they've come out to you or not. Whether it's your sister, your mama, your brother, your auntie, and your uncles. So really, I always say, I'm very proud, with my wife, and I have her come to the Capitol because I want them to know that when you are passing these bills, you are not only affecting us, and we're grown, we're going to be okay, but you're also possibly affecting our future children and their children. And so these bills have real life consequences.
I want to ask about their argument that it isn't what we say it is. The Don't Say Gay is focusing on primary school. You were really clear, and other representatives and senators in Tallahassee standing against Don't Say Gay were really clear that this is the beachhead that they're going to create. And they build a rock and they create the beachhead, and then they reinterpret tomorrow, next week, next year, and they expand the reduction of rights. Explain that concept to us.
I mean, this is like, Florida is the test state, and they know if they can get away with this, they can get away with other things. And the issue is that they're saying that these inappropriate conversations are happening, but there's been no receipts, no facts to show us that these conversations are happening in school. So if we can pass this harmful bill, and maybe the next one that's attached to it, then you're going to see a next session. They're going to go even further, and then the next, and then where are we going to be? Here's the thing. My wife told me this when I met her. She goes, I'm too cute to be in anybody's closet.
Right.
We are too cute to be in anybody's closet.
Exactly.
We have come too far and we have fought too hard to be in anyone's closet.
Yeah.
And we most certainly will make sure our children won't do that as well.
And by the way, to the viewers of Queer News Tonight, I love that a state representative in Florida uses a phrase of bringing the receipts. That is
I got that from my wife. So my wife will always say, people lie, receipts don't.
Yes.
And so I'm always like, the receipts.
Yes, it's a very RuPaul's Drag Race phrase that we love.
I always say say that the receipts, honey.
That's right, the receipts, honey. All right, well, help us, last theme of question, help us understand what you think the LGBTQ community should be doing. You're sitting there,
Yes.
you're in committee, it's being pushed along, it's going to come to the House floor, and you're fighting and fighting.
Yes.
What can we, as just rank and file of members of our community, what can we do to help support your efforts?
One, I think that I always tell people, don't call me, call the Republicans, call the people that are pushing this forward. But number two, mobilize. And also, like, I want to take a page from like the bus boycott. These people that are pushing forward these efforts, if they have businesses or if they're corporations that are withhold our money. We are one of the biggest spending blocks, are we not?
Mm-hmm.
Withhold our money, withhold our vote, say we're not going to support you. And I think, and unfortunately, with a lot of these folks, it's the money, it's the economic part that actually really makes a difference. But I think that we have to coalesce together, and we have to say that you're not going to be able to do this on our watch, and really also just calling and talking, but mobilizing. But if there's any monetary interest and if there's any corporations that are going to be behind this hateful rhetoric, we're going to withhold our money. We're not going to be able to do business with you if you don't value our lives.
And my last question to you, Representative Rayner, I'm fascinated by the tremendous moment we are in.
Yeah.
We thought with the election of Joe Biden that finally we were done with him. And we're a year later, and arguably in Florida, it's worse than with him. Even. It must be very discouraging for you to be a state representative in Tallahassee to fight the fights that you're having to fight on our behalf, and really all the people in Florida. How do you stay positive? How do you not get discouraged? Explain that experience to us of what helps you get up in the morning.
I think a couple of things. One, I have a wonderful, tremendous wife who is very supportive. Number two, I know why I'm fighting. I know that, you know, like I said earlier, my wife and I are grown. We're going to be okay. There's a privilege that we have, but I'm fighting for our kids. I mean, I can't tell you, Al, how many, you know, children have come up to me and said, I never thought I could do this, but I saw you. So I keep that in mind. And then also I make sure I kind of quiet down and I power down and kind of get back to my center and to my core. And that's really the work that I do. And then I do it again. And then I get up and do it because I also understand if not me, then who? My mother always says, to whom much is given, much is required. And so I know the space that I'm in and I know why I'm here. And I'm going to do it until the people tell me they don't want me to do it anymore. But that's why I do what I do. And that's kind of centers me.
Well, I love that I'm here at the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus because I've met a lion in our community. And in this day of the times that we're watching, we need more lions. We wish you all the luck. And we're going to talk to you many more times.
I welcome it.
Because the fight is, as you said, it's going to be long and hard.
Yes.
Representative Michelle Rayner from the state of Florida, proud member of the LGBTQ community. Thank you for being on Queer News tonight.
Thank you for having me.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ